What happens when we stop waiting for opportunity and start building our own? The quote of the day is: money is no good unless it contributes something to the community, unless it builds a bridge to a better life. Any man can make money, but it takes a special kind of man to use it responsibly. A.G. Gaston. Welcome back to Weekly Black History Live with yours truly, Posha Malcolm. The theme for tonight is Black on Enterprise and Innovation, Building Our Own Tables. We will explore stories that remind us who we are, where we came from, and how far we have come. Each week we learn together, no bias, no filter, just truth and growth. Tonight, our focus is on how Black people have changed their position in society through enterprise, innovation, and community building. From creating businesses when doors were closed, to designing inventions that changed the world, to building self-sufficient communities. Our ancestors and pioneers refused to wait for permission. They built their own tables. Before we begin, a quick reminder: this live is for educational and inspirational purposes. I'm learning alongside you. I may not pronounce every name or place perfectly, but what matters is uncovering the history, lessons, and inspiration behind these stories. Starting this month, we'll host a special guest every last Tuesday of the month. So mark your calendars for that powerful conversation coming next Tuesday, October the 28th. And last week, welcome once more. Last week we spoke about the cotton tree, roots of freedom, faith, and ancestral memory. And we said that those trees remind us that our ancestors stood tall so we could rise higher. And just like them, we must continue to stand firm, grounded in history, reaching for light and providing shade for others. Tonight, we are looking at 4 examples of individuals and communities who built a legacy of independence and empowerment. And these are just 4 for tonight. The first person is Madam C.J. Walker. She was born December the 23rd, the year 1867, and she passed away on May the 25th, 1919. Sarah was born as Sarah Breedlove, or Madam C.J. Walker was born as Sarah Breedlove to formerly enslaved parents. Her siblings, all of them, were also born enslaved. Sarah was the first child in her family born into freedom after President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Madam C.J. Walker became America's first self-made female millionaire. She created a line of hair care, yes, hair care products for Black women, founded the Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company, and trained thousands of women in business and financial independence. Her vision went beyond beauty. She used her wealth to fight racial injustice, like contributing to the NAACP, and to empower women through education. She once said, "I got my start by giving myself a start." Number 2, Black Wall Street, Greenwood District, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And that's in the 1900s, 1920 to in that era, in that around that year, to be factual, in the early 1900s. This community stood as one of the most successful Black economic centers in the United States history, and it is still talked about. By the 1920s, Greenwood, which would normally be called Greenwood District, had over 600 thriving businesses, banks, schools, groceries, stores, and even a hospital, all owned and operated by Black citizens. It was burned to the ground in the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921, in which a local white mob gathered and attacked the area. And this was initiated by assumed that a Black shoemaker, young man, had violated a white female, and rumors and other things spread. Between 75 and 300 Black Americans were killed, hundreds were injured, and the homes of 5,000 were destroyed, leaving them homeless. The massacre was one of the largest in the history of U.S. race relations, destroying the once thriving Greenwood community. I also must let you know that those who were left, those who stayed from that Greenwood community, they actually built back the community, but it wasn't as thriving as it was at that time before the massacre occurred. Although destroyed in the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921, its legacy still reminds us of the power of collective economic strength. It wasn't just a place, it was a statement. We can thrive when we build together. Majority had nothing, but by coming together, they were able to thrive, to build this sustainable economy. Imagine what we can do now. Number 3, Clara Brown. She was born on January the 1st, 1800, and she passed away October the 23rd, 1885. Born into slavery in Virginia, Clara Brown gained freedom at 56 years old and headed west during the gold rush. She became one of Colorado's first Black entrepreneurs, running laundries, investing in real estate, and using her wealth to build formerly enslaved people to help them to start new lives. Clara was known as the angel of the rookies, reminding us that business success means little without generosity and compassion. And this is so commendable that she was able to help those who didn't have much. And it is also called upon us as entrepreneurs to help others who don't have much as well. And this is how our community grows and become successful, when we can help each other. And last but not least, we have the Maroons of Jamaica. Across the Caribbean, the Jamaican Maroons built independent, self-sustaining communities after escaping enslavement. They developed their own governments, trade systems, farms, and defense networks, preserving African traditions and autonomy, self-sufficiency. Their story shows that freedom is not just a word, it's a system you build and protect. They remind us that innovation is not always about machinery or money. Sometimes it's about survival, structure, and spirit. And here we see the Maroons. Up to this day, we still have the Maroons in Jamaica that are self-sufficient, working together as a community in their community. Now, there are some reflection questions that I would love to ask you as we continue. Then I'm going to ask some questions that I would hope those who are on would participate in. But these reflective questions, you don't have to comment in the chat. Number one, which of these stories inspired you most and why? For me, it is the Black Wall Street, the Greenwood District in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They built from nothing. That's very powerful and profound to know that they came out of that struggle and yet pulled together and made something of themselves. Unfortunately, it was destroyed, and so we only have it as a legacy that we can build upon wherever we are located. So for me, that is my inspired story for tonight. Number two, how can we today build small communities of support and business like they did? They gathered together, maybe for worship. For example, when the people went back to Africa after they were freed and they decided that they're going back from Nova Scotia, they met under a tree, not any tree, but a cotton tree. And so they built from nothing right there in worship, in thanksgiving, in praise. And so I would say, gather together in your worship setting, in your community gatherings, give thanks, praise God for where you are. And then you start making plans like these persons did. Persons took on different form of businesses. You even had a hospital. So we can do that blueprint. What is it that we want? I must say that my church community, the Mississauga Seventh-day Adventist community, they have started an app by gathering persons who have something to contribute. And we all have somewhere or another, because God has blessed us with even one talent. And they have put an app together for businesses, persons who have different hobbies, different interests, so that persons with like-mindedness or there's a need that they can all get that source. So I would say build together by building and support each other by sharing hobbies, sharing activities together, by buying amongst ourselves. Persons who are in our community, they sell that. And another community that does that is Carrot. If you are in a certain area, you can buy stuff that you need on Carrot, because local persons in your community that you may not know sell those. And there have been instances where persons have developed um, relationship with each other by conversing, talking, and so they get to know each other and the community builds. So I would say we can build small communities this way by getting to know each other, knowing the different businesses that persons serve, and also doing worshiping together. I think those things will help to build small communities like that one at Tulsa. Now, the third reflection is, what skill, idea, or gift do you have that could empower your community? I would say my father is a jack of all trade. He does so many things. And it gets me to think that I too have skills, ideas, and gifts that I can share to empower my community. And one of the skills that I have is being friendly. There's a it's a ministry in itself. I like to greet people warmly. I like to talk with people. I like to, you know, share with people. I like to encourage people. And you may think that you may not have a skill, but sit down, look at what people commend you for, look at any ideas of what you can bring to the table, look at things that activities that you do. What are those things that you do are called? And you will find out that you have a lot of skills, a lot of ideas, a lot of gifts that you can share in empowering your community. And we have one and only Venus joining us. Good night, family. Good night, Auntie Porter. Yes, I'm going to write my name in the spelling in the chat, Mikhail. Okay? All right, there we go. All right. And one and only Venus says, good night, sis. All right, good night, family. I know the family is watching all the way in St. Mary, Jamaica. So thank you for joining tonight. I hope that you have been encouraged and motivated by what we are sharing. Now we have 4 questions that I would love to be answered in the chat. And the first one is, who was Madam C.J. Walker? Who was Madam C.J. Walker? I'm just going to put it in the chat. Who was Madam C.J. Walker? You can guess. Who was Madam C.J. Walker? She was born on December the 23rd, 1867. Anything at all you remember about Madam C.J. Walker, you can let me know. She was okay. So she was the first Black woman millionaire who built a beauty empire and empowered thousands. She actually helped a lot of Black women to become self-sufficient, to able to contribute to the household, to empower their self-esteem, and to able to help organizations that were fighting for Black rights. So she was a powerful woman, and I'm happy that she was able to inspire us tonight. Then we have number 2 question. What made Wall Street special? What made Wall Street special? I'm going to put that question in the chat. What made Wall Street special? What kind of community was it? One and only Venus says black shows. Okay. When you say black shows, I'm looking at entertainment. There were. And it has been recorded that blacks have been very entertaining. They do a lot of music, a lot of instruments like the drums, we know. Yes, journalism. Yes. What other, what else made Wall Street special? Can you think of anything else? What was one of the unique things that they had? And we wish every community had have one, or every town. It begins with H. What made Wall Street special? Okay, I was thinking of hospital because they even had a hospital. We wish that our hospital is in even walking distance from our community, right? So they had thriving Black community with hundreds of successful businesses in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we know that they had businesses like banks and schools, grocery stores, and we said hospital as well. And any other business that you can think of that they could have had back then, they had it all. And so they were a thriving community. Why? Because they thrive together, they help each other. And the third question is, who was Clara Brown? We spoke about her. Who was Clara Brown? Who was Clara Brown? She was referred to as so Clara Brown. She was okay. Before I say okay, so Clara Brown. She was a formerly enslaved woman who became an entrepreneur, and also she helped others find freedom, and she assisted persons in their need, and she was referred to as angel of the rookies. She was actually in a very rookie area. I don't know how to explain it than that. So it was very challenging, but she became an entrepreneur, and she didn't just keep the money all for herself. She helped others along the way. And the last question before we do our closing, number 4 is, who were the Jamaican Maroons? Who were the Jamaican Maroons? I put it in the chat. Who were the Jamaican Maroons? And if you are from Jamaica, I hope you know them. Don't know if you have met anyone from the Maroons community. Just wait a few more seconds. Who were the Jamaican Maroons? And it's so remarkable because there are Maroons all over the Caribbean. Imagine, there are Maroons all over the Caribbean. All right, so the Maroons were escaped enslaved Africans who built free, self-sufficient communities in the mountains. And we would say the Blue Mountains, the cockpit country in Jamaica. So they went very high. And if you watch my video this week of Emancipation Park, you will know more about the Maroons. And one and only Venus says, Scott Scots All Maroon, Scots All, Scout All. I'm not sure if I pronounce it properly. Scott All Maroon. Okay, let me just look that up. Not sure if I know that what you're referring to, Scott All Maroons. Okay, so that must be a community. Maroons. Okay, I'm just going to see if I understand clearly. The Scott All Maroons. As we said, we share and we Scots All, Jamaica. Scots All is one of the 4 official towns of the Jamaican Maroons. It is located in St. Mary Parish, Jamaica. All right. My mind told me, but that I think I'm not pronouncing it properly. Scots All. Okay, I am. All right, so that's the Scots All community. They are one of 4 official towns in Jamaica, and there is one in St. Mary. Oh, one and only Venus, Nanny, yes. So hopefully when I come back to Jamaica, I would love to visit that community. And that's what I found on the internet. All right, thank you so much for sharing that. I really do appreciate it, the participation. All right, so we are moving on. What are the lessons that we can learn from these stories? From Madam C.J. Walker's Beauty Empire to the self-sufficient Maroon villages, we see one truth. When Black people create together, we rise together. And Marcus Mosiah Garvey is one of those persons that encourage us to rise together. One and only Venus is self-love. It really is important to have self-love because you cannot give what you don't have. So that I would say is one of the main ingredients. Enterprise was not just about money. It was about freedom, dignity, and the right to define our own future. Each story teaches us something. For example, Madam Walker, the power of vision. Black Wall Street, the power of unity. Brown, the power of Clara Brown, the power of giving. And the Maroons in Jamaica, the power of community. Yes. Thank you for joining Weekly Black History Live with Posha Malcolm. If tonight's lesson inspire you, take a moment this to share this live with a friend or family member. Let's keep these stories alive, because when we remember where we came from, we know exactly where we are going. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on your notifications so you never miss another episode. And mark your calendars. Our first special guest interview happens the last Tuesday of October, and this is going to be for every last Tuesday. Just as we have Saturday Night Live, we're going to have a special guest at the last Tuesday of the month. You don't want to miss this. Until next time, remember, our history is not just something to study, it's something to live. I'm Portia Malcolm. Thank you so much for learning alongside me. Thank you, one and only Venus, Mikhail, the family, for tuning in tonight, and everyone who have tuned in. I really appreciate and thank you for joining tonight's episode. Until next week or Saturday Night Live coming, I just want to say, walk good, take care, and let us build together and rise together. Have a wonderful day. See you. Bye bye. Good night.